Whenever we go to a new river, there's one thing that Alex and I can almost never agree on.
Spencer usually wants to float, and I want to wade.
Now, some rivers are great for wading, but I prefer getting in the boat and exploring as much of the water as possible.
And I'd rather slow down, pick the water apart, and make sure that we don't miss any fish, especially the big ones.
So this week on Untangled, we're going to each lay out our own approach and see if either one of us can lay claim to being the most effective way to fish. This is Untangled, fly fishing for everyone, presented by Ventures Fly Co. Hey everybody, welcome to it. This is Untangled, and I am your host, Spencer Durrant, back in Utah against my will, but Alex built me a bougie new podcast studio, and he bought me wings last night, so it is worth being here just for that.
You come down here, we treat you right.
Finally, I still don't have my Park City chateau, but wings and a new studio, I'm happy about that.
Next year.
So yeah, if you're watching the video podcast, we got a brand new podcast studio. Alex, I was so proud of him. He actually went and built stuff.
I went to Home Depot more times in the last 2 weeks than I have my entire life.
I was so proud. just made the home remodeler's heart so happy for you. Oh, well, I hope y'all are enjoying the start of the year, start of 2026. I hope you're also enjoying the new audio-only podcasts that are dropping every Monday now as well. Just a final reminder on those. We've got extra Untangled content coming out. Anywhere you find podcasts, you can go grab those, listen to them. We've been having fun telling some stories, doing tips of the week, monthly fishing reports. It's going to be definitely worth your time to check those out. But today we're going to tackle a little debate Alex and I have, which I know that'll surprise you guys. Like, oh, they don't fight. They're a great couple. No, we have our disagreements. I'll tell you that right now. One of the most common ones we seem to have is we're going to a new river. We want to explore it. I want to float it in the drift boat, and Alex,
I want to wade.
Wants to walk. Now,
hey, it ain't just walking.
You're right. It's walking against the current. It's even worse than regular walking. It's frustrating walking is what it is. You're trying to keep your balance on slippery bowling balls. It's not pleasant a lot of the times, especially for an athletically overweight angler such as myself. But anyways, Alex, we are both going to present our cases for why I think floating the river is more effective and why you think wading is more effective. We'll see. We'll let the viewers decide and the listeners decide who's most effective in it. But Alex is going to go first in making his case for fishing from a drift boat. So I'm going to shut up, and you've got it. This is all you know.
I do want your input because I think you as a witness will help my case.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm not stoked.
I don't want it to come across as I'm anti-drift boat. Like, I do enjoy fishing from a drift boat.
And I'm not anti-wading.
Yeah, anti-wading.
No.
But I think each approach has its pros and cons, right? And I think you get to see the river from a different perspective through each approach. But my job, it is to make the case for wading. So Here we go. And to do that, I first want to share a story. Now, this is an extreme example. I will throw that out there. Disclaimer.
Oh, I think I know what story you're telling already.
But before I headed off to college, my dad, he wanted to spend some time with me before I left. So he surprised me with a guided trip in Montana. So we drove, I think it was like 8 or 9 hours.
It's a road trip up there.
Yeah, it's a haul to get up there. And we stayed the night, and we woke up early the next morning, drove over to the fly shop, and he had booked this trip a few weeks in advance. And we got to the shop, and when we showed up, you should have seen the look on the guy's face at the cash register. I don't know if they forgot we were coming, lost the booking. Yeah. It was bad. So he looks at my dad and he's like, "Oh yeah, thanks for showing up. Like, we're excited for your trip.
We're totally expecting you."
So we sat around the shop for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, just browsing the flies, browsing the fly rods, picking them up, giving it the wiggle test. And this guy flies into the parking lot at Mach 5. hey guys, how's it going? I'm your guide for the day. Hop on in, hop in his truck, drive 45 minutes, put the boat in. And you could just tell the moment he picked us up that he was in a hurry.
Yeah.
So we launch the boat and we start fishing, and there's bugs out. This is where I learned the term foam is home.
Yeah.
There was a ton of foam on the water, and there was bugs in the foam, and you could just see fish noses just coming up out of the foam. So it was an amazing day. But the entire time, he just kept saying like, we got to move downriver. Got to move downriver. Hey, yeah, there's plenty of great water downriver. Yeah, there's a lot better holes downriver. And we're like, there's fish right here. Why can't we fish to these guys?
You don't leave fish to find fish. It's one of the only rules in fly fishing.
So we get downriver a ways, and then he's like, let's pull over for lunch. And I'm like, I don't want to eat. I want to fish. He's like, oh, I got you guys a nice sandwich. I'm like, whatever.
Nice sandwich.
Yeah,
Come
nice
on.
Sandwich. So,
there's no such thing as a nice sandwich on a guide boat.
Pull over. He's sitting over there eating his sandwich. My dad's like hanging out with him, talking, chatting, whatever. And I'm like, screw this.
Yeah.
So I pick up my rod, and there was this nice seam right along where we sat to get lunch. And I fished that seam. I worked it really hard, hooked into the best fish of the day. It was like, I was probably like 18, 19 inches, beautiful brown trout, all spotted up. And then we hopped in the boat and we rode as fast as we possibly could downriver. And extreme example, but I don't think you get the same control, the same detail, whatever you want to call it, when you're fishing out of a boat.
Well, yeah, if you got a complete clown on yours. But I'm just going to rebut you here real quick, though. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, you caught a really nice brown out of that foamy seam.
Yeah.
Would you have gotten to that seam if it weren't for the boat? See? Even though you got out of the boat's the reason you were there.
Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with this river enough to know if there's an access point to where we got out for lunch. But based off of this guide, I would assume the road was right next to the river.
Oh, yeah. Well, it probably is, to be completely honest.
No, but I really think that wading gives you permission to fish water in the way that you want to fish it. So you're not just like continuing downstream. You're not, I mean, sometimes when we're out in our boat, it's getting dark and like we kind of have to push through water just to get back to the boat ramp. And so I don't think you really get that opportunity to kind of smell the roses, take it in. You do a little bit, but...
Well, the reason we have to row so quick to get off the water before the dark in our boat is because we stopped for way too long in one other spot. Because somebody's like, one more drift. And I'm sitting there ready to go 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, I won't argue that. But I do like that wading lets you kind of slow down and solve the problems. Like I can pick my spot. I can pick my position. If I need to, I can move to the right a little bit. I can move to the left a little bit. I can slow my drift. I can cast slightly ahead. I can cast slightly behind. I can get feedback. So it's like, say I throw my cast up and it's moving too fast. Okay, now I have to do something to slow it down. I really just feel like you're able to pick apart the water a lot more than you can in a boat. When you're just drifting by once, you throw your cast out there and then it's like, well, we're kind of headed downriver.
That's why all your casts got to be great if you're fishing from a boat.
And that is a problem I have. So
it's a problem I have too. Let's be real.
We were out with Ryan, one of our buddies, the other day, and there was this big brown just out there in this crystal clear water, probably 30, 40 feet out there. And I had a streamer on and he's like, cast it like 20 feet ahead of the fish. I threw it out there and it landed right on top of him and the fish spooked.
Right on. He beamed it right in the head.
Yeah. It was
just smacked it.
Yeah. I was trying to club it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can't catch it, club it.
No. It was a good time though. We still had good time that day, but all right. You're making a slightly promising case here. As much as I dislike that. You got anything else to plead your case?
I mean, do you agree with that?
I don't disagree with it, right? But if we're taking sides, I'm going to. But I don't disagree with anything that you said, no.
Okay.
All kidding aside.
Yeah. I mean, I've just been rewarded a lot by refusing to leave good water. And
you definitely have.
Too early, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, we were out, was it our nymphing video that we were filming? Yeah. So we were filming our How We Fish nymphing video where we did a little fly challenge where when we caught a fish with a certain fly, we weren't allowed to use that fly the rest of the day. It's pretty fun. But we got to this last shelf. It's 40, 50 yards long. It's a pretty long shelf,
it's
right?
a big little spot.
And Spencer fishes the shelf. He fishes it really hard. And he
One of the few times that I fished it hard. Yep.
And he pulls a little white fish and then a decent brown out of it.
Yeah.
And we go back to the bank and we sit down and we're deciding.
We're having a sandwich.
We're having a good sandwich.
Yep.
And we're deciding, do we leave? Do we fish the shelf one more time? Because it looked really good. We pulled a couple fish out of it. It was a good time of year to be on that river. And so we asked ourselves, should we leave? And we said, nah, one more time. So I set up my rod and started working the shelf. I fished it for probably like 5 to 10 minutes. And I just felt like my flies were drifting a little too fast. So snipped off one of my nymphs and I tied on a heavier one, worked it a little bit more. Still felt like my flies were moving too fast. Snipped off the other nymph, tied on a slimmer one so it could cut through the water a little bit more. Flies still drifting a little too fast. So then I tied on, I added a tiny, tiny little split shot.
Just the itty bitty one.
Smallest one we got. Threw 2 casts and I hooked into a nice fish. And it wasn't just a nice fish.
No.
Cue the trout rodeo sound.
Yeah,
you got one of those? Yeehaw!
Yeah, it was. I'm still not sure how that one got in. To be completely honest.
Yeah, it's one of those big fish that as soon as you hook it, it starts going downstream at that perfect angle of your flies just popping right out of its mouth.
But it didn't.
Yeah, so we fought it for 5, 6, 7 minutes. Spencer had the camera rolling the whole time. It was kind of fun. And
there's a lot of footage that we can't put in the video for reasons.
But we ended up putting the fish in. That was my PB Brown. And
taped it 24 and a half inches.
Yeah.
Or
24.
24 on the dot.
And that was my first 2-footer.
Yep.
2-foot brown trout. So I was really excited about it.
We were both just so stoked to see that fish.
And I mean, we can throw the QR code up for that video. That video is pretty fun.
We're going to have
to. And a link in the video description. But here's my argument. Okay, you ready?
I am.
I honestly don't think we catch that fish floating by in a drift boat. Because you have this shelf, right? So it's shallow, 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 drops deep. The shelf's at kind of a weird angle that I don't think if you're drifting by, like you might be able to get it in the boat, but you just have to be in the perfect spot to get that angle. And then I don't think we would have adjusted our rig that much just drifting by one time.
Well, we floated it the other day and we floated right through it one time.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, we didn't. Granted, that was a really slow day.
Thank you for being my witness on this. That is very appreciated.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But yeah, that's my argument is I honestly don't think we're catching that fish drifting by.
No, I don't think we are either. I agree with you on that.
And then I have one other point to add to my case. Closing argument.
All right.
Ready?
We'll hold you to it. All right, sorry, we got to move on. We got to move down the river and get to my argument now.
So one reason I fly fish is to be active outside. We work a lot inside just because we're editing and we're working on content and
building podcast studios.
Yep. But one thing I love about fly fishing, it gets me outside, and also it's a great way to just be active. And when you're wading, you're hiking, you're standing all day, you're crawling over rocks.
Yep.
When you're in a boat, you're kind of just sitting around or casting. Unless you're rowing. Like we'll talk about rowing, but
I stand in the boat. I don't know what this sitting in the boat thing is.
Okay, we're standing in the boat. I mean,
standing's better for you than sitting.
Sit sometimes. You got a comfy seat.
Sometimes I do when I need my Diet Coke, my midday Diet Coke.
Your midday Diet Coke, the fishing's slow. You're like, roll me off this river, Alex.
Yeah. Take me somewhere where there's fish. Dang it.
But I don't know. When you're rowing, I'll give you that. So for those who don't know, we got a drift boat last year, and I've been learning to row. It's a completely new skill.
Yes.
Like props to all the guides out there who row, because it's honestly pretty hard. And when I get done, my wrists and my arms, they kill. So I'll give you that one. If you're rowing, it is a nice workout, but I would liken it to wading's like a full body workout when you're in the gym.
Except your arms. It's just leg day. It's the difference between arm day and leg day.
Well, it's arm day and full body. So arm day is like...
You're not getting a full body workout wading. Your arms are doing nothing.
It's because Spencer doesn't work that hard, I guess.
What are your arms doing when you're wading?
If you hike in like a couple miles and your arms are casting, like you're carrying the backpack, like it's a full body workout.
No, you're not. No, that's weak. That's a weak argument.
Anyways, it like you are very active, and I also like that when you're wading, it feels a little more intimate. Like you're in the water, you're next to the bugs, I don't know. You notice the smaller details that I think you would miss floating by in a drift boat sometimes.
All right, I can give that to you.
And I got to end with one more story just to drive this home.
You said you were done.
Well, this is my closing argument.
You said the other story was your closing argument, Kemosabe. All right.
That wasn't, no. I was saying the physical side, the experience, that's my closing argument. And
okay.
So, gentlemen and ladies of the jury. One time Spencer and I, we were out fishing in one of our favorite rivers. It's out in rural Wyoming. Just describe the scene for us.
Which scene do I need to describe?
I mean, you know what river I'm talking about. Favorite river.
Yeah.
What is it like out there?
It's like Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
There's sagebrush everywhere.
And there's willows and cottonwoods and only black bears, no grizzlies.
I'm talking about the bald eagle. Bald eagle one.
Oh, the other spot. Yeah, no, it's an interesting place. There's black bears there too, though. No grizzlies down there either.
We've never seen a bear there.
I have.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, like in the outskirts, I've seen bears.
Wow.
Alex doesn't believe me.
News to me. Anyways.
Yeah, no, it's a cool place.
It's a cool place. Unfortunately, that day, you were having some truck issues.
Oh, yeah, the day that my truck died on me.
R.I.P. Spencer's Tacoma.
It's so sad.
But he ends up having to leave so that, he lives pretty far away from here. He didn't want to get stranded. Yep. He ended up getting stranded. Did. At a Little Caesars. Me being the friend that I am, I kept fishing.
Yes.
So he leaves and I'm out there. It's quiet. There's nobody around.
It was pretty cold too. It was in November.
Yeah,
it was
it's right around like Thanksgiving. That shoulder season, right? Was it like Thanksgiving time? I couldn't remember if it was right before spring or right after fall.
That's when I got the new truck. So it was right about Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so we're in that shoulder season, like right in between fall and winter. And so I wasn't super optimistic about my chances of catching fish, but I was like, why not? Let's go try. Let's go fish a new area. So I drove over to this spot, hiked in a little bit, and I got to the riverbank and watch and wait, like we talk about all the time. I sat there and I just observed the water, saw what was happening, and I noticed this very, very subtle seam. And a fish rose. So I was like, all right, let's give it a whirl.
So naturally you tied on a nymph rig.
Naturally, I did tie on a nymph rig. Egg bomber.
Killing me, Smalls. Well, there's rising fish. Let's pelt them with nymphs.
It was so far out there was no chance I was getting to it.
Just cast further.
again, my casting, we talked about this, like sore spot.
We need to go fund me, I guess, for Alex's casting. We'll get you some casting
I need a
lessons.
casting lesson from a certified instructor. So I see this very subtle seam, and I spent the next 4 hours working like 500 yards. This seam, it goes for a while, but it's very subtle. And I pulled 6 or 7 really solid fish out of it.
Mm-hmm. And he would call me every time that he caught one as I'm limping my truck home. And then I finally break down at the Little Caesars. And he's like, yeah, I'm just leaving. The fishing was really good. How are you? Oh, thanks, Alex. Appreciate your help.
Hey, but I did one for the team. I found one of our honey holes. We call it the Cuddy Rock Garden.
Yes.
Yeah, how many times have you fished that?
A few.
Yeah, you love it.
It's okay. It's been pretty disappointing lately, though.
Anyways, we've caught some great fish out of the Cuddy Rock Garden. I had a giant rainbow trout come up and try and eat my indicator, which was fun.
So again, you should have been fishing dries. You would have caught better fish if you were fishing dries. I'd agree with everything if you were fishing dries.
I even hooked into a giant brown. I think it was a brown.
Yeah.
And he broke me off. But all in all, I got back to the truck. I put the tailgate down. The sun's setting. I'm in this beautiful sagebrushy rural area. Cracked open a Coke Zero.
Ugh.
And I felt physically and emotionally exhausted from my day of fishing because I was waiting. And
exactly. Why do you want to be that tired?
It just felt like an accomplishment.
See, it's hard for me to relate to that.
Why? Because you don't catch fish?
No, because I don't equate being tired with accomplishing anything.
So there, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I rest my case. If you want to feel accomplished, if you want to work the water and catch your personal best brown trout, and if you want to feel like you have control of the river, wade.
Well, Alex took a little bit of time. I'm gonna be short and sweet with mine. I like fishing out of a drift boat because I like the consistent change, and I like getting to see some new water.
Well, that would happen if you hiked and got a full body workout.
I let you talk.
Okay.
Good criminy. New podcast studio is not worth this disrespect. I'll tell you what. No, I like seeing a lot of the water. I like casting to a lot of different fish. And I also like experiencing how the river changes throughout the float. I like seeing different types of water. One of our favorite rivers we fish all the time, up near the dam where you put in, it's almost all nymphing and streamers because the water, even in the middle of summer, is so cold. There's very few fish rising up there. There's not a lot of bug activity because the water is so cold. But as soon as you get down further, like 3 or 4 miles downriver, that's when it switches. And there's a lot of big, beautiful dry fly hatches. You get the mats of blue wings floating down the river. And I like the change. I like the difference that you get to experience throughout the day. So I get the best of both worlds. I get the stuff that, I'm just practicing not catching fish when I'm nymphing and, practicing my casting. But then when we get down to the dry fly water, then I'm actually getting into it. So there's a lot of fun to be had there. I also feel like I'm a lot more versatile from a boat because I can get my hopper dropper rigs or my dry dropper rigs. I can get those really tight to the bank and I can let them drift forever. So I get perfect drifts against those willows, against those bushes that you really aren't going to get from wading. So I get a lot more bang for my buck out of the drift and out of each cast.
I think last time we were out with Ryan, you had that cricket on.
Yeah.
You fished it right next to the bank and you outfished me pretty.
It was crazy how much they were eating.
It was nuts.
It was insane.
Middle of October and he's catching fish on a freaking cricket. Yeah, it was Halloween.
Yep, it was Halloween. So
I'm over here nymphing and chugging streamers like a normal person.
Well, from a boat, you can chuck nymphs. You can really stack your nymph rigs along the far seams that you can't always reach. You can really stack mend and just let those things drift forever, real deep, real slow, real perfect. And a lot of times an angle is going to prevent you from doing that on foot. You're not going to be able to get to a position where you can make that cast. The water's going to be too deep. Maybe there's not enough room for your back cast. So there's a lot of things that are going to hang you up by foot by not being able to reach so much of the water. So you're able to just reach a bunch more water. You're able to really cover a lot more water from a drift boat. And then again, I like the constantly changing opportunities that I'm getting to see throughout the day. And I also think that because you're able to get so many different angles, so many different presentations on the same water, the boat's just giving you more opportunity to catch more fish, I think, because you're covering so much more water. You're putting your flies in front of theoretically so many more fish. So I think you're going to have an opportunity to catch even more.
And we always talk about make your first cast count.
Yep.
You get a lot more first casts.
You do.
Oh, wait, why am I helping you?
I helped you. Crying out loud.
I didn't put my hand on a Bible. That was totally false.
I won't always row back up a run to nymph it again. We did that a little bit this summer, though, with your father-in-law out on the boat a couple of times.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not possible with that current.
Yeah, sometimes you just can't. And I will say that there's a lot to be said for pulling the boat over and fishing a hatch from foot sometimes. We did that a lot last year during the best blue wing hatches. We'd pull over and fish from shore. So it was just easier to get a drift that was controllable there, especially with Alex being newer on the oars, me being a little rusty from time off. So there is the advantage to it from there. What it really boils down to is I got expensive taste. And so I like fishing for boat because it makes me feel rich, like I've actually made it in life. And, waiting, I just feel like every other poor schlub that just, I had to beg the wife and compromise for time off from work just to go there. I don't want to be that guy, right? No, kidding aside, I just like I like seeing a lot of the water. I like the float. I like the relaxed feeling of the float because I've never fished with a guy who's just, we got to get downriver. I've never fished with that guy.
Yeah, it was an extreme example.
So I just no, we're taking our time. And then, sometimes at the end, we've taken our time too much when we have to row off, but that's not that bad because then you get a kick back and you switch off rowing or whatnot. And whoever's not rowing just gets a nice little boat ride. It's a fun way to do it. I enjoy it quite a bit. I really think that rests my case. I mean, I didn't have too much to say because there's depth to what I said. I think. I hope.
It was the feeling.
Exactly. So
no, I totally agree with you. One of the things I love about fly fishing is exploration.
Exactly.
And I do feel like the boat gives you that opportunity to explore more water. And then you are going to get angles that you wouldn't get waiting. Great example. When you're fishing an eddy.
Yeah. It's so tough to do it from foot.
Our friendship almost ended filming a video about how to fish eddies that was never released.
Thank goodness. That's footage. It's not even in the vault. It's gone. Thank goodness.
But from a boat, you can actually float past the eddy.
Yep.
Come in the backside.
Yeah. And
you're golden.
And fish it like normal.
Yeah.
I will say as well, a lot of folks worry that they're missing out by not floating because they can't afford it or whatever, or they just, maybe they don't really think they like the boat and they feel like they might be missing out, even though they're like, I don't know if I'd like that, but maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I need to try it. You don't need to float to get the most out of the experience, with a few rare exceptions. There are some rivers where a float trip on them is just way better than wading. Just the river's so deep and so quick. It's going through such a narrow canyon. There's not really a bank to fish from. There are some places like that, but I consider that the large exception to the rule, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. So, I'll
and
give
it can
that.
even be like some sections of the same river.
Yeah.
Right. There's one river that we love that I fished one section on foot and I didn't catch a single fish. And this is a world-renowned river that has thousands of fish per mile. And I just saw boat after boat floating by and people just hooked up, huge blue wing olive hatch going on, and I got skunked.
Yep.
And since since then, I've now floated it a few times, and it's night and day difference. It's a much more enjoyable experience from a boat.
Now, I will say, boats are expensive. Float trips are stupid expensive. Usually worth the money, in my opinion. I do think it's one of those things. I was talking to my wife about this. I took last year off of skiing because she was so sick being pregnant. I didn't really want to leave her. That pregnancy was so awful on her. But with the kid here and healthy, I've been skiing a lot more. And the two resorts by where I live, they're really cheap. They're both $70 or less a day, which is really cheap for a lift ticket anymore. And I was telling my wife about I want to go ski Deer Valley. And she's like, well, how much is it? I'm like, oh, it's like $325, $350 a day ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, well, that's way too much money. I'm like, it's stupid money. And it's ridiculous that they're charging that much for it. But to me, the experience is worth it because it's not this year, but most years it's the best snow in the world. And the resort's enormous. There's so much terrain. You're never going to ski it all in a day. Not even a week, I don't think. There's so much terrain.
Yeah, I grew up
there.
Snowboarding the canyons.
Yeah.
And it was like 8 or 9 different lifts. It was before they combined with Park City.
Yeah.
I spent years exploring that mountain, and it was a blast.
And it is really expensive, but it's worth it. And I feel like guide trips are the same thing. They're really expensive, but with the exception of the one guide who was both drunk and high when he showed up to pick us up at 9 a.m, they're worth it. That trip wasn't.
And that's definitely the exception.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're usually not high.
They're usually fantastic, to be honest. So.
But yeah, boats are expensive. They also don't go in every river, despite what some people might try to do. They don't belong in every river. And then you do need 2 people to make the boat work. So
yeah, that's been one of our issues is like shuttling.
Yep.
And
you got to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more work.
It is a lot of work.
Waiting, you can do it anywhere unless the land's private. Then you can't do it.
Yeah, then you could float.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
And you can be by yourself when you're waiting. So if you don't want to put up with somebody for the day, there's plenty of times when Alex just takes off in the middle of the day and leaves me, and I don't blame him. But you get some alone time when you're out there by yourself waiting. So there's pros and cons both sides of it. I still like the seeing as much water as possible part of it. So I don't think I've changed my tune. I still think I would prefer to float most days versus waiting.
So you are drift boat over waiting 100%.
Most of the time, I think so.
Okay.
Like if I'm in the mood for a small stream day and I just want to go clown around in the canyon and go see what I can find, I love doing that too. But if I'm going to go spend all day bigger water, like I would much rather take a boat on bigger water than wait at this point.
I think it is river dependent for me. I do like the get in the boat and stop and wait a little bit. That's a good happy medium. That's
honestly the best both worlds.
Yeah.
To be completely. That's what I like.
Yeah. Cool. But it doesn't matter what we think.
No, it doesn't. What do you guys think?
What do you think?
Drop a comment. Send us mail via the Pony Express. We are back accepting smoke signals again. So you can get a hold of us that way.
Carrier pigeons.
Yes. They know where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cage is right over here.
They're like the owls from Harry Potter. They know where to go.
But yeah, we would love it if you dropped a comment letting us know if you liked waiting or drift boating. Which one's your favorite? And if we convinced you to sway one way or the other.
And hopefully we did convince you that whatever way you like to fish is fine too. And that you're not missing out on anything if you go one way versus the other. So,
and there are no rules in fly fishing.
Exactly.
So do whatever you want.
Don't leave fish to find fish. That's the one. Okay.
Yeah. We've never done that.
No, never. Certainly not recently either. Awesome. Well, I had fun, even though I feel like Alex doesn't respect my opinion. I had fun. No, he respects my opinion. But we're going to move on to the Q&A portion of this week's show. And every week, if you're new here, we spend half the show directly answering questions from viewers and listeners just like yourself. So if you have got fly fishing questions that you would like answered, you go ahead and send those to us. There's a link to do that down in the show notes or right here on the screen if you were watching the video podcast.
Our first question comes from Randy. He says, cloudy versus sunny. I am way more successful fishing cloudy days than sunny. If I do have success in the sun, it's under cover of some kind or deep. What are the factors most at play? Predators, temperature, direct versus ambient light, barometer? And he's from Montana.
It's a good question, Randy. I got a question for you, though, first off. You a scientist of some kind? This is a very analytical way to look at this problem. I'll get to that in a minute. I love that you were looking at all of the things, though, right? Kidding aside. Legitimate question that I do want to ask you first, though. Are you more successful during all cloudy days? Like every time it's cloudy, you are catching way more fish than if it's sunny. No matter if it's spring, fall, winter, summer, you are always more successful when it's cloudy versus sunny. Right, what's the answer to that question? For me, I tend to have a lot more success in low water, like what we're dealing with here in winter, on cloudy days, because as you guessed, yes, fish feel safer when it's cloudy. Okay, if it's bright and sunny and the water is really low and clear, they're hyper alert for predators. They're a lot more likely to spook. When it's cloudy, they're a bit less wary. Their natural inhibition kind of backs off just a touch when the water's low and clear.
There was one time I was fishing a river with my brother Berkeley, and it was a 2-day trip. The first day was cloudy, and the blue wings started coming off, and we caught so many fish. Like, we lost count of how many fish we caught each. Next day we go back. It is bluebird day, bright and sunny. Yep. The blue wings were still coming off, but we caught maybe like 10% of the fish that we caught the day before. And just like what you're saying, shadows, predators, like they could see us way more, easily than the day before.
Exactly.
So it can make a big difference.
Yep. And to all the other points that you brought up, Randy, I've never really given them much thought, like direct versus ambient light.
What is ambient light? Just like
all the light that filters in just from like other sources, like these ones behind us. Like that'd be a little bit of ambient light, right? The only thing that I really pay much attention to is the temperature, because the water does need to be warm enough that the bugs are active, so that the fish have something to eat. But if it's too warm, the fish are going to shut down because trout don't handle temps above about 68 degrees Fahrenheit or freedom units. They don't handle that water too well. So again, I've never even considered direct versus ambient light. That's not something I've ever been like, oh, is it too direct today?
You didn't look at the fishing report and go, oh, there's too much ambient light today.
No. I do know folks who put some stock into watching the barometer.
I've seen that a lot actually on blogs or other, like in our school group.
Like if you want to go down that rabbit hole, feel free. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm going to borrow a phrase from John Gayrock. The best time to go fishing is when you can. So I would just focus on fishing as well as you can when you're out there and not really worrying about the stuff that's out of your control, because the weather, the barometer, you can't control any of that stuff, but you can control when you're fishing. So go fish when you can. Don't really worry about that stuff too much, other than noticing and remembering that when it is bright and sunny and the water is low and clear, you have a lot less room for error on sneaking up on the fish. Anything else to add, Alex?
No.
Wonderful. Thanks a bunch, Randy. Appreciate it.
All right, the next one. Hey, Spencer, love the show. You two are a phenomenal resource, so thank you for that. I am new to fly fishing and have much to learn. I've been trying to hit a river at least once a week. So far, I've managed to land a few small rainbows and a small bull trout. I will emphasize small. I've also missed and lost many. My question is, do you have any tips for getting nymphs in the strike zone on rivers where added weight, weighted flies, strike indicators, and multiple hooks are not legal on certain stretches of the river? Wow. I am in Southwest Oregon. There is a river that is nearby, and it has fly fishing only zone with the above regulations. And that is Kyle from Oregon.
So that's a really interesting question, Kyle, bringing that up. And I actually dug out Oregon's 2026 regulations booklet. What?
You just had it laying around?
I mean, who doesn't?
Me. Everybody that doesn't live in Oregon?
We travel, Alex. Come on. You got to stay abreast of the changes.
Abreast. Wow.
Abreast of the goings on.
Someone who has a regulation book would use that word.
You're darn right. So I looked through all the regulations in my regulation book for Southwest Oregon, and I found one river with those regulations. And the reg says no added weights or attachments, including strike indicators, to line, leader, or fly, except non-fly monofilament lines that may have a bobber or similar device attached. It also says that angling restricted to use of single barbless unweighted artificial fly July 1st to September 30th. So that's the only river I found in the state with those regulations. And based on where this river is at, I'm fairly certain that those regs are in place to keep salmon and steelhead runs in as decent of shape as can possibly be managed right now with all the issues that those fish are facing in the Pacific Northwest. And then it sounds like they've crafted all of these regulations to foster fishing dry flies or swinging unweighted streamers on sink tip lines. That's what it sounds like to me. Which, unweighted streamers on sink tip lines is a very classic way to fish for steelhead. And a lot of trout too. It works very well for that. But it sounds like the idea is we're going to legislate fishing for this river to the point where the easiest way to catch these anadromous fish, which there's another $5 word for you, fish that live in freshwater but migrate to the ocean before going back to freshwater to spawn, are anadromous. Alex is not impressed. But the idea is making it as difficult as possible to catch those fish while still allowing some angling for them. That's what it's sounding like to me. So getting nymphs down really isn't possible in that situation unless you're using a poly leader or sink tip line. And at that point, it's just a lot more effective to fish a streamer. So, when they're this specific on tackle and how you're supposed to fish it, I would honestly just go to a fly shop and ask for some clarification on how most people fish that. You could call the game warden as well. They'll have some information for you. But without a weighted fly, I would focus on sink tip lines to get my flies down deep. And then at that point, I'm not going to nymph. If I've got a sink tip line on, I'm going to fish streamers. So that's how I would tackle this specific situation. I would call the game warden. I would go to a fly shop, but definitely props to you for looking up the regs and adhering to them. Not enough people do that. It's frustrating sometimes.
Wait, so let me get this right. You wouldn't use a dry fly?
Not for steelhead and salmon, no.
Or bull trout? He said bull trout?
Not for bull trout either. When's the last time you ever saw bull trout caught on a dadgum elk hair caddis, Alex?
Never, because I haven't caught a bull trout because you don't like hiking in and wade fishing.
Oh my gosh.
See, it's full circle.
No,
see what's happening here?
No.
I haven't been able to catch a bull trout because Spencer won't go with me.
I am not stopping you. You don't have to have me there for you to catch a bull trout.
I'm just kidding.
We're follow that logic. You're stopping me from catching goldens because my knee hurts when I hike.
We're gonna have to move. We're gonna have to move on to the next question. This got really personal.
No, there was one experience though to share about a little bit about Kyle's thing though, because there are some rivers where there's no extra weight allowed. You can't use split shot.
That one was crazy to me. Like the list of, what was it?
Single fly, barbless hook.
Added weight, sure. No split shot. Okay. Strike indicators.
Can't use a strike indicator.
That's a little tough. But then it's like, okay, well, we can Euro nymph. And then multiple hooks. Okay. Single hook, barbless. But the no weighted flies?
Yeah, that is. Well, again,
it's like
it's
you can't
swinging
nymph.
Streamers. Yeah,
you can't nymph at that point.
No,
really.
You can't. But you fished a river where you could add extra weight, but it was single hook, barbless.
No, you actually couldn't add extra weight.
You could fish a weighted fly.
Weighted flies were allowed. Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I went to Slovenia, and it was one of my bucket list items. Okay, full disclosure. My wife was having her 30th birthday.
Yes.
And she's always wanted to go to Europe. So I just so happened to tag on a couple days of fishing.
I mean, literally when in Rome, right?
So we went to Slovenia for a few days, and we actually, funny enough, a few weeks before, a guy messaged us on Instagram. His name's Andrash. And he's like, hey, if you guys are ever in Slovenia, you should come fish. And I was like, just so happens I'm going to be there. So I met up with him.
Yep.
And this will surprise you. I didn't really do that much research before I went.
I'm so shocked. Yeah, Alex just shows up and hopes. I'm the one that I've read the fishing reports. I've called fly shops. I've talked to people.
It's part of the experience. The exploration.
I want to go in prepared.
I know. Honestly, my bad. I should have been more prepared because I was kicking myself the whole time. So single fly, barbless.
Yep.
Indicators had to be a natural material. So it had to be wool.
Yep.
All I had was
thingamabobbers.
No, I had a Oros.
Oh yeah,
so
Oros.
Couldn't use those. It's foam. So that was kind of a learning experience because I'm used to fishing 2 flies most of the time with indicators if I'm nymphing. Or dry dropper rigs, it's like our go-to, right?
Yep.
So it was single fly. I'd borrow a wool indicator from Andrash, and he only had one. So it just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, he had one for himself, but he had one for me. Anyways, it was a great experience learning to use like a single fly in the way that it was built.
Yeah.
And really paying attention to the fine details of the fly, like how big the bead was, how slim it was, because the water we were fishing, it was pocket water. There's a lot of really fast moving currents. And so the drifts were super short. So you had to get your flies down quick. So I don't know what you would do without weighted flies in that situation. I don't think you'd be able to fish it. You just, no. I mean, at that, luckily fish do look up there. They come out after dry flies.
Yeah.
But that was my experience. It was a lot of fun. It was a new learning opportunity.
Yeah. So there is stuff, even when the regulations seem frustrating, there are things you can learn from it. This is the point of that. So,
and I am working on that video right now. I hope it comes out soon. It's a fun one. Andrash
should be a good time.
Honestly, one of the coolest guys I've ever met. Like,
it's awesome.
Just super fishy and so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great fishing. Like loves wading.
Yeah. Will he backpack with me?
Doesn't like drift boats.
Oh, we appreciate the question, Kyle. Thanks.
All right. Next one. Hey, Spencer, why are these all to you?
Well, it's my show.
Hey, Spencer, I'm a complete beginner. I bought my rod and reel a few days ago, and I'm looking to go out on the water. There's a pond near me that has stocked rainbow trout. It's 5 feet deep, and the water's really brown. You can't see anything. There's also a little stream that is going into the pond. I was wondering, could you please tell me what flies and rigs to use there and give me some advice for fishing it? I know a bit more than the basics, I'd say. Thanks for your helpful beginner guide videos and the Untangled podcast, which I both really enjoyed and still do. Thank you very much, Ivan from Croatia.
Good thoughts. Good question, Ivan. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words about the show. So, a couple of thoughts and questions for you. You talk about the brown water. Is it dirty? Is it full of silt and mud? Is it like full of sewage? Is it kind of nasty? Or is it just a little bit tannic, which is, I think that's an acid, I believe. You see that in Pacific Northwest, a lot of streams like that, they have that almost tea color to them.
Yeah.
That's really tough to see through. It's not dirty. It's just stained a little bit. So is it stained like that? If they're stocking fish in this water, then it makes me think it's got to be clean enough water that they're going to survive. So it's probably just stained. So I'd recommend getting a pair of polarized sunglasses. It's going to help cut the glare. You're going to see more what's going on underwater at that point with those. So that's going to be crucial. But after that, I'm going to go through, I'll walk you through how I would tackle this, and we'll let Alex, if you got anything different, how you tackle it. First thing I'm going to do, I get to a pond like this, I'm looking for rising fish. If the fish are actively eating off the surface, then I automatically know where to fish. And it's really easy at that point to know what fly to use as well, because you just look at what's on the water surface and you try your best to mimic that. Now, if I get to this pond, I don't see any fish rising at all, then my next plan of attack is I'm going to look for structure. So that inlet stream you mentioned is a really great place to start, but a drop off would be a great piece of structure. Anywhere that goes from deep to shallow really quick, any points that jut out from the shore, shallow spots where there's a nice weed bed and there's going to be a lot of plant and bug growth, submerged logs, rocks, they're going to be a great place for fish to hang out, have some cover from predators as well. So any kind of structure, I'm going to start looking at that and trying to form some kind of plan of attack after that to fish it. And then once I've got an idea of, all right, I really like the way this point looks, or I found this great drop off, then I'm going to go ahead and use my right fly formula to pick a fly. So I will start, grabbing some rocks from underneath the water, maybe grab some weeds, look at all the bugs that are crawling in there. And then I'm going to use what I see in the water and try and match the size, shape, and color to flies that I've got in my box. And then once I've found a couple of flies that look like they're in pretty good shape, that they're a pretty good match for the real ones that I've seen, then I'll go ahead and I'll stick those underneath an indicator, throw them out there in the water, and usually just let them sit if they're nymphs. If they're streamers, so if I'm imitating leeches or other bait fish or something like that, then I'll throw those out and actually retrieve them. But if I just see a lot of mayfly nymphs, a lot of scuds, a lot of little bugs that aren't moving too much, I'll just let those sit under a bobber and just kind of let the current and the wind in the lake move those as needed. And then the fish, as they're cruising around to eat, they'll see that. And especially they're cruising the structure, they're trying to stay safe from predators. They'll see the food next to the structure. They'll feel safe enough to eat it, and they'll come out and hit it. So that's how I would go ahead and set up shop and tackle this. And then again, with those sunglasses, that'll also help cut through the glare. And you can see some of the fish when they're hanging out in the water with those sunglasses. But that's how I'd tackle. Is there anything you'd do differently, Alex?
No, I would just emphasize the inlet. I've had so many great experiences in ponds and lakes where I just set up shop right next to the inlet and there's fish stacked up there just waiting for food to come in.
So often.
Yeah, I would work that really good.
Yep.
Either with a streamer or an indicator rig.
Yeah.
Just indicator, like 9-foot leader indicator to one fly, maybe like a balanced leech, chironomid, bigger, I don't know, something flashy.
Big scud even would work great.
I guess I will say, because the water is a little off color, it helps to have bigger flies because the silhouette's going to shine through a lot more. Or you can use like flashy flies. So orange, pinks, reds.
Or you do both. Too.
Yeah. Or both. Yeah, both. Even better. And it's the same thing when you're fishing during spring runoff. You need something in that dirty water that stands out to the fish that'll make them move.
Yep.
So that's what I would add.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, that wraps up the Q&A portion of the show this week. Thanks to everyone who sent the questions in. Keep them coming. We need more and more questions to keep crafting the show as we go through this every week. But now we are going to end with the live real life moment, just like we do every week. We end by sharing a story and picture from folks out in the VFC audience who are living real life. So
grab your popcorn. This is my favorite part.
It's a great one. And if you've got a live real life moment you would like to share, there's a link to send those in down in these show notes or right here on the screen if you're watching the video podcast. And this week's live real life moment comes to us from John, who writes in and says, I'm only a couple months into fly fishing seriously. I live near the San Juan, and after some initial struggles, I learned some things from the podcast and masterclass, then found a spot on the river where I've been catching smaller fish consistently. I got to build up my skills a bit there, but I knew I needed to branch out and try other spots if I wanted to keep improving. I set out early in the morning today to try new spots, and the day started pretty bad. I was getting skunked at the first spot I went to and then ended up falling down in the river, getting my sleeves soaked. I was thinking about just calling it a day there, but then I remembered the importance of perseverance, so I said, the water didn't even get my waders. Let's get back out there. I dried off and went to another spot where after 10 minutes, I landed this 18-inch rainbow and then a 15-inch brown just a few casts later. That's 2 personal bests right after I was thinking about calling it quits. I guess that's the power of perseverance for you. I wrapped up the day at my old reliable spot to catch a few more small ones before heading home. Thanks for the part you played by teaching me the skills to have this awesome day. Well,
Amazing.
John, that's awesome, man. Thank you. Did the opposite of what I do, apparently. If you listen to Alex, something like that happened to me, I'd just go home. No. That's a good reminder of sticking it out. The stick-to-itiveness that you need sometimes to really make this sport work.
Yeah, you can exit the witness stand. Thank you. I love that wading angling story.
Oh my God. See, this is the thing. I just let it go when we're done. Alex, no, he keeps coming back for it. He's like me with cake on the counter. I can't just let it be. I keep going back. I keep nibbling. I keep having a bite. Oh, it's just one more bite. Soon enough, the whole daggum cake's gone.
Jokes aside, John, seriously awesome.
Yeah, it was a great one.
I love reading all of these stories and hearing these stories because it's the essence of fly fishing. That's what keeps you coming back, regardless of if you're waiting, if you're in a drift boat, if whatever river you're on, like this is what it's all about.
And this is the whole reason VFC exists too, is to help you have your own live real life moments every time you go out on the water. It's the reason we're doing what we're doing. It's the reason Alex built me this podcast studio.
Blood, sweat, and tears. I got a couple cuts on my hands.
So proud of you. You going to get a callus soon?
I have those from golfing. Does that count?
Yes, it does. Well, with that, folks, thank you all so much for being here with us this week. We appreciate it. Make sure you tell everybody you know about VFC. Be an evangelist for the cause.
Your grandma, your
postman,
dog sitter,
your flower delivery person, whoever. Just tell them all about it. Rate and subscribe to us wherever you listen to the show. That helps us out a bunch as well. And until next week, everybody, get out on the water, enjoy yourselves, and live real life.